I've been a fan of Leonard Cohen since the early 70s. And I think I even began by reading his books, Beautiful Loser, Favorite Game. And then in 1971, 1972, I was in Europe, and I had a girlfriend at the time who was going to school in Switzerland, and we were trying to break her out of the school, and the only song we would listen to was Diamonds in the Mind. Over and over again, this song, Diamonds in the Mind. So I was very pleased when Alberto asked me to sing that song tonight, but I think for any singer-songwriter, we all owe such a debt to Leonard Cohen because he's perhaps the most poetic of us all, and the way his songs are so personal and yet so universal. I mean, a song like Suzanne, you know, so simple, so personal, and everybody loves it. So, well, Diamonds in the Mind. I recorded that song about 10 years ago at a studio in Italy, and that was featured on an album I made called Double E. It was called the Vintage Series, because I'd been singing that song since, you know, way back in 1972, and as I said, I was with this girl and trying to get her out of school, and that song was like the soundtrack of this great adventure that I had in Europe, in Switzerland, and then coming back to America. And I think when I was preparing my first album, I had a very limited number of things I was listening to. You know, I was listening to a few Bob Dylan songs, a few Paul Simon songs, some Rolling Stone songs, but I was listening to a lot of Leonard Cohen. Well, living in Europe, as I do, and I've lived in Paris for 17 years, I'm not surprised because I often see festivals and events such as tonight dedicated to Americans whom nobody cares about in America. I've seen this over and over. You know, I used to tour with great bluesmen who would draw 10,000 people and who would play in New York to a little club of 200 people. So I'm not surprised. I think Europeans tend to take culture, and even American culture, or if I can include Leonard Cohen in that, even though he's Canadian, more seriously than Americans do as well. Americans have not done bad at inventing some pretty great music, painting, films in the last 50 years, but the culture there just moves so fast. It goes right past it, you know, and that's the thing I like about Europe, and one of the reasons why I live here is because there is this sense of history. And I think tonight, this homage to Leonard Cohen just is another testament and indication of how the Europeans have a greater appreciation of American culture than Americans. And when Alberto Manzano asked me to be involved, there was no way I could say no. Number one, I love Alberto. Number two, I love Leonard Cohen. And number three, I love singing this song.